I've never traveled outside of North America before, and now I've just landed in Tanzania, a small country in Southeast Africa. I've been invited to join a team of other athletes from around the globe who, like me, live with type 1 diabetes. Our goal is to show that this incurable medical condition does not have to limit the challenges we tackle in our lives. During 2012, I spent 365 consecutive days rock climbing across North America to promote this same message of empowerment. But this will be different. I'm comfortable on steeper rock at lower altitudes. Big peaks present much different challenges, and I feel a lot of pressure to perform. Expedition-style climbing with porters and cooks is very far from my standard method of just flying by the seat of my pants. I'm used to climbing alone, with one other partner, to whom I can trust my life as we share a rope. But there won't be any ropes on this climb, only the thread of type 1 diabetes connecting a group of relative strangers. We begin our climb by ascending 12 miles through the jungle canopy. I've been told that it will be either muddy or dusty, and that there is no happy medium anywhere on the mountain. Each day spent on the climb affirms that this is no exaggeration. Hiking does not seem a great physical challenge. I've carried heavier backpacks across greater distances. My concern is my ability to maintain good health along the way. Traveling around the world places a huge strain on my immune system, and I have been fanatically avoiding any food or drink that could be tainted. The last thing I want is a gastrointestinal problem to complicate managing my blood sugar, which is already challenging under the most familiar circumstances. We continue upwards on the second day, out of the canopy and into the heather, a semi-arid moorland covered with shrubs and small bushes. It feels good to finally get above the lowland clouds and moisture. I feel good about the altitude we've gained. We're around 4,000 meters, which I'm finding to be fairly manageable, due largely to the massive quantities of water we are consuming both day and night. Almost everyone else on the team is taking Diamox, an acclimatization drug. Only Alexia and I have opted out. I'm curious to see what my body can do if I do my best to simply fuel it well as we ascend. I'm willing to push myself to my outer limits, but I still hope it doesn't actually come to that in the long run. Drinking water and trying to keep blood sugar stable seems to be working. No headaches or loss of appetite, two of the initial grievances known to indicate developing altitude sickness. When my stomach decides to go off script for a day, however, I begin an aggressive antibiotic treatment in order to squash what could develop into a real problem, given the remoteness of our location. Prevention and preparation seem key to thriving in this environment when it's possible. After that, it's just a matter of putting one foot in front of the other. But going through that process day after day leads me to question what we're doing out here in the first place. Why climb anything at all, let alone a big mountain so far from where we all live? As I trudge along, I keep wrestling with these questions. Does any of this actually mean anything? Or are we just walking from one seemingly arbitrary point to another, which just happens to be on a mountaintop? I don't have good answers to these questions immediately. The physical stress is much less significant to me than the mental aspect. There is very little variety in each day. Living under the looming shadow of Mt Kilimanjaro, eating and walking, and always drinking more water. I know that simply keeping up the repetition will yield the summit, but at many moments it is difficult to see the value of continuing, and my blood sugar has been running high from the start of the expedition. By the time we start closing in on our high camp, from which we will attempt the summit, I have had to increase my insulin dose just a little bit in hopes that my sugar will come down to normal ranges. And then seemingly out of nowhere, it does come down. Hard and fast. I'm lying in my tent with just hours to go before we're supposed to wake up for a midnight start and push for the summit. I struggle with what is happening as I inhale Skittles and other simple sugars. I only took a tiny bit more insulin earlier in the day, which seemed like it did nothing at the time. And now suddenly, my blood sugar is plummeting, and I've awakened in a cold sweat, double-fisting glucose tablets and bits of Cliff Bar, which I'm eating like my life depends on it. Because in reality, it does. Eventually my blood sugar comes back up. I fall asleep for an hour and a half, and then it's time to wake up and go for the summit. It's cold and the wind is whipping around us. We are all just trying to focus on each step, not daring to think of how much elevation lies between us and the summit, or how much colder it's about to get as we climb higher. Hours pass, stop and go, stop and go. Low blood sugars, high blood sugars. Everyone has a different monkey on their back tonight, it seems. The group disperses according to pace. I'm somewhere in the middle, I think, but I can't quite tell for sure. About 1,500 feet below the summit, the altitude finally hits me, and suddenly I feel like I'm sucking air through a straw. This is the opposite of fun. The sun rises, and it is all I can do to take out my camera and capture Mount Mawenzi profiled in the distance. Fighting for breath feels like the biggest priority, and nothing means anything besides just taking the next step. The summit of Mt Kilimanjaro is fairly nondescript. I don't have any kind of mountaintop experience there, no life-changing moment. All I can think about is getting down and wanting to breathe again. So that's what we do. On the way down, I'm still trying to make sense of this ascent. The only conclusion that I can come to is that mountains in and of themselves mean nothing. Summits are optional. The descent alone is mandatory. That which we create out of the experience on the summit, the time on the mountain, the relationships we build, and the enthusiasm we bring back down to share with others are capable of changing the world around us. It is our responsibility to find meaning in the challenges we face, both the inevitable ones like diabetes, and the challenges we actively seek out, like climbing Mount Kilimanjaro. Of course, I still have to live with type 1 diabetes every single day, just like the rest of my teammates. But by coming together, we've demonstrated that it's possible to go beyond the limits of our diagnosis and thrive.